Thank you to Clidio for sponsoring this video. Yo, what's up guys? It's Redlands Jack here with another One Piece theory video. Now this video I put a lot of research into, so I would like you to subscribe, like, hit that bell for more videos, and if you enjoy, just, or if you're ready, get your seatbelt, buckle it in, because this theory is a ride. So, the theory that I'm going to be focusing on today is the theory that, or the theory of the 5 tribes. What are the 5 tribes? Today we're going to be figuring out what's the 5th tribe, where the 5 tribes come from, what's their purpose, and what role does Shem fit in all of this? So to begin, the 5 tribes, here's what we know about the 5 tribes. We know that Shem's a member of them. We know that there are 5. We know that they came from one man. One man had 5 children that became the 5 tribes. We know that the 4 of the 5 tribes that we know so far are the Pontyhuntu tribe of North Blue, the Castelia tribe of Anastar City, or Anastar Island, Anastar Country, sorry, the Janbu Tali tribe, and the Yinyangshi tribe of Zong. But we don't know the 5th tribe. We don't know where they came from, other than they came from a man. And I believe that's all we know. And we know they obviously have some sort of power over specific things, like the king or the tribal leader from. Let me check my notes. Sorry, I was looking at my notes. So as we know, Shem learned certain abilities from the Castelia tribe and ancestral arts. We know that Shem has powers over beasts, over animal forms, that he learned, assumably, from Pontyhuntu, probably from his father. But we know also that there is some sort of wind striking fist art from Zong, we can assume, or some sort of martial art, because as we've seen from Stoneface, Cal Garland, we can assume. We know nothing. Oh, we know Janbu Tali tribe also has some sort of marking ability that gives power, and then we know nothing of the 5th tribe. So, jumping into the theory, and if you hear my mouse clicking, forgive me. That's just me trying to jump around so I can look at all of my notes. So, it's obvious. The obvious first thing is that we know that the 5 tribes were based off of the 5 American Indian tribes, the Native American tribes that came, or that lived originally in America, that settled down. That would be the Chickasaw Indians, the Cherokee Indians, the Choctaw Indians, the Muskogee Indians, and the Seminole Indians. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, that's the 5 Indians. We know those are the basic things. I believe it was in a bingo book that the BC Productions sent out, that, you know, bingo books are the things that they send out every month or 2 months, or every couple of months, that give information about One Piece or their show. Specifically right now it's One Piece. They sent out a bingo book, and it said that the 5 tribes were based off of that. It was their inspiration. So let's begin with the tribe that represents, and if we go into each of the tribes, then we can find out their correlation to their existing tribe, and we can figure out what the 5th tribe is. And then we can figure out from there that this thing you see on your screen right now, this elemental wheel, reveals so much about each of the tribes. But first, let's begin with the Pontyhuntu tribe. So the Pontyhuntu tribe are based off of the Cherokee Indians. The Cherokee Indians were the Indians that went along the Trail of Tears and were kicked out of their home, forced to march by the Americans. And they were sent on this trail where it's called the Trail of Tears because they were pushed out and forced to live in horrible environments by settlers, which is very similar to what happened on Moriori with the Frenchmen coming and attacking and trying to take over Moriori before Zack and Barry and Shem and Hem and everybody came in and stopped them, which is the obvious. Pontyhuntu is the Cherokee Indians. Now, for the Castelia tribe, the Castelia tribe are the Muskogee Indians. The Muskogee Indians were, it says here, in the 19th century, the Muskogee Indians were known for one of the was one of the five civilized tribes, which are the five tribes in One Piece, because they were said to have integrated numerous cultural and technological practices. Now, we know this is the Castelia tribe because we've seen before, when you walk into Castelia, you've seen all of the intricate vines and slingshots and ways to get into it to keep everyone out. Which when you go from Pontyhuntu to Castelia, you see the massive jump there, and you also know that the other reason that Castelia is the Muskogee Indians is because they are on Anasar, the place of the most famous place for shipwrights and the most famous place for navigators. Which shipwrights, obviously, you've seen Barry, you've seen what's his name? Forgive me. On the Blackbeard pirates. The Dutchman pirates. The Fjord, the shipwright of them. We've seen how technologically advanced they are, and even Garrett. We've heard tales from Lawrence, Barry's dad, that he's very technologically savvy. We know, so it equals the Muskogee Indians are the Castelia tribe. Then there's the Janbutali. The Janbutali tribe are the Choctaw Indians. The Choctaw Indians were a tribe of Native American Indians who originated in modern Mexico and the American Southwest to settle in the Mississippi River for about 1,800 years. Known for their head flattening and green corn festival, these people built mounds and lived in a matriarchal society. When we went there, we saw that it was heavily led by this man, matriarchal, and it's in this desert Egyptian area with many mounds, as we've seen. It's pretty equal as well. Again, the American tribes to the five tribes of One Piece, they're very equal. I'm just trying to get this through so you can see exactly what happens here. With the fourth tribe, Zong, are the Seminole Indians, because they were a tribe of, it was one tribe but many different parts of the tribe, or there's three sectors of the tribe, which equals Zong, because obviously there was the one leader of the Yin Yang Shi tribe, which split into the two brothers. What were their names? We know there were two sons, and the two sons are still under the Yin Yang Shi tribe, even though they're separate, which equals Seminole Indians to Zong. So now the only one left are the Chickasaw Indians. So here's where my theory comes in. So we know the other four. The fifth one, if you go to the Chickasaw Indians here, I'll read you a quick little excerpt. It's the Chickasaw Indians originally lived in the southeast in areas of Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, and Kentucky. Here's the part you should hear out for. The Chickasaw were known as some of the fiercest warriors in all of the Americas and learned the nickname as, quote, Spartans of the lower Mississippi Valley. Now, if you look up Spartans, you know the Spartans. They were the warmongers of ancient Greece. My theory is that the fifth tribe, we know the first tribe are typical Indian men. The second tribe are hunters. The third tribe are Egyptian. The fourth tribe are Chinese. The fifth tribe are Spartan. They are warmongers, which comes into a theory later on. But I believe they are warmongers, and I believe that they, in some way, split from the other four tribes as far as their identity. We know that the Spartans fell. It says Sparta entered its long-term decline after a severe military defeat to Epaminondas, I'm sorry if I butchered that a little bit, of Thebes at the Battle of Leuctra. As Spartan citizenship was inherited by blood, Sparta increasingly faced a harried population that vastly outnumbered its citizens. Now, I think that Sparta, or whatever the tribe of Sparta was, they were with the tribe, but then they felt like they were getting outshined. That there were that all the tribes were too much for them and they couldn't handle it. So they separated themselves, and started their own conquest, similar to what Chen is doing in Zong. It wouldn't even be too far to believe that we know that Chen formed bonds with other armies to come back and conquer Zong. It wouldn't even be too far-fetched to assume that maybe Chen went and got some of the Spartans' help. But when we take that Sparta is the 5th tribe, we don't know the name. Obviously, the names are a little different. But when you take that concept and you put it in with the 5, we can see that. Here, let me open up these notes. And we know for a fact, because Stoneface said it, that the tribes were originally based on balance. The 5 tribes were 5 brothers held together through balance with whoever the father was. So taking that theory, or that fact, with these 5 tribes, as you see on your screen, this is the Chinese wheel of imbalance. Now we'll get to balance and imbalance later, but first I need to place each one of these tribes within here, and they all fit perfectly. Once again, we'll start with Pontyhuntu. Now obviously, first, we know this wheel works because it's Chinese, and we know that where we're headed, the tribe's going to go into a Chinese base. And we know that China is a big, Chinese mythology is a large moving factor in what we've seen in the One Piece world, the One Piece abilities. We've seen Jade Emperor is a Chinese deity. We know that Lawrence and the flower god, there's that Lawrence theory that is coming out. There are so many Chinese, and then there's obviously Cal Garland, there's Zong, there's so much Asian representation in BC's concept of One Piece, in their little storytelling concepts. Now, here there's wood, there's water, there's metal, there's earth, and there's fire. We'll do it in the same order. Well, we can assume, we know that Pontyhuntu is wood, because number 1, it says that they're spearmen, and everybody on Pontyhuntu wielded spears. We know that they're champions. Their resolve is strong as Shem is. Their peasantry, they were casted away. Not casted away, but they're not from the Grand Line like the other 4 tribes are. They were in the North Blue, one of the blues, not within the Grand Line. Parts earth feeds fire. This will come in later. Castelia, water. The entire island is surrounded by water, and inside is an entire ring of water. We know that they are good with archers. We know we've seen them use archery. Feeds wood. They were surrounded by trees, the very trees that made the shining grizzly that we have right now. Douses fire. The man, there was one of the henchmen of one of the knights of Arthur's Round Table lit them on fire, yet they were able to douse that fire in an instant because of that ancestral power. Janbutali. Now Janbutali, I wasn't too sure. I put it into Google Translate, and the word Janbu and the word Tali translate only into one language. The word Janbu translates only into Japanese, and the word Tali only translates into Norwegian. Janbu, when you put it, translates to jump. And Tali translates to stable or barn, which makes it stable or jump stable, or in English, stable jumper. And when a stable jumper is another name for a horse. And when you look at a horse and you put it into the Chinese zodiacs, horse is the exact representation of fire. Fire being putting Janbutali perfectly in fire. And it also states that it creates earth, which they put it in a fire or in a very hot environment. Military, we've seen their military power and their vanguard, everything about their soldiers, their fighters, links up with fire, which leaves metal and earth. Now, we don't know too much about sorry, I lost my train of thought. We don't know too much about Zong. However, we know that Chen is a very strong man. He is a leader. He is a conqueror. Another name for a conqueror is a sentinel. We know that he is an expert combatist. We know that he's turned as all of this is factual from Cal Garland. You can even look in the episodes in the manga. You see it. He talks about how he's turned Zong into a place for his own mass army and his own industry. He's taken down all of what was the life and has made it into an industry similar to which if you go with the two sides of the same coin, there's a possibility that Zong is Chamberlain, which would make sense because considering you can point out the Chen Norman parallels, which leaves Earth. Now, when you look at Earth, it says creates metal, dams water, government, authority, commander. So here's where my theory comes in. First things first, I believe that the 5 tribes, their father was one of the 20 kings. Now, the reason I say that is because we know that the men that were up there, that were in those 20 kings, were kings of something. We know that the man from Cal Garland, the man that was the founder or the father of the 5 tribes, was a man of that status. And the years link up perfectly with that time, with the Void Century. And I believe that the father was one of them, and he denied going up to to Merijoa. And he stayed down on Earth. However, I think it's fair to believe that the man, his wife, was not human. That his wife, the mother of the 5 tribes, was none other. Well, first was a different race. I believe she was either elven race or fairy race. And above that, I believe the mother was Castelia herself, the Moon Dust Queen. The reason I say that is because I believe that when they decided to stay down, her race was from the top of the red line. So she had no choice but to stay up. So she gave a gift to Earth. That being what we know from Castelia. What gift did Castelia give to Anastar? The moon dust. The moon dust. And I believe that is not a folk tale, and that is real. And it's not even too far-fetched. We know that the fairies were known, in mythological terms, fairies were known to be guardians of the forest, guardians of the land. And they were known to be not the founders, the creators of spring. And then when you look at the wheel, each one of the 5 holds a season, except for 2 which holds a different season, except for 2 which share the same season. And those 2 are water and wood, which both share spring. Now, when you go to when you do more investigation into Wuxing and the concept, it says here that it's a Pokemon, it's a rock paper scissors of sorts. It says here, let me find it. It says here that, where is it? Forgive me. It says here that first things first, Wuxing was known as a moving star. which we already know as Anastar. And I think Anastar is the main place. I think that was where the king originally laid. I think that's where the king originally, or the father of the 5 tribes originally stayed. I believe that it was on that island, or that country. And as a gift to her husband, before Castelia left, she left her moon dust. And that is the sand that stays there today. And I believe that before the series is over, the Fisheyes are going to have to go back to Anastar. But when you look at the way the wheel works, wood feeds fire. Wood being Shem, feeding the Janbutali tribe. We know that the Janbutali tribe have adopted Shem as their king, or as their fallen brother who has come home to roost. And then it says fire produces earth. That would mean, move this over here. That would mean that the Janbutali tribe had to have potentially put information into the 5th tribe, into the Spartan tribe, or in some way must have some sort of reasoning as to why the Spartan tribe left the 5. And maybe that's something that Shem will learn in the time skip. Earth bears metal. And we know that the Spartans did this thing where they separated from the tribe, and it appears that Yin Yang Chen attempted to do something similar, and maybe he went to the Spartans to get some help to conquer Yin Yang, which would have earth bearing metal. Metal collects water. We know that metal, the Yin Yang and the Castelia tribe, I can't really say too much about that because we don't know anything about that, but as a theory, we can say water vapor condenses on metal. Metal, assuming that Anastar, Castelia, is one of the main tribes, or is the place where the leader or the father once was, we can assume that maybe, is it possible that Zhang, the brother of Chen, went to Anastar? Or that they're trying to harness some sort of power, like a poneglyph that we know is on Anastar right now? And then last, the one that fits in so perfectly, water nourishes wood. Water being Castelia, and we know for a fact that Castelia gave their power and nourished Shem. Gave that ancestral art for Shem to learn, which is perfectly in line with water nourishing wood. Now, where does Shem fit in all of this? Assuming that those are the 5 tribes, and that the 5th tribe, I almost forgot. The 5th tribe, Spartan. Here's my theory about them. They left. And the reason I say that Castelia left and that the father stayed, I believe that as the 5 sons grew up, I believe Spartan was disgraced that he couldn't have been up there where there's peace, where there's not overrun, because as we know, the Spartans declined because there was too much people, and they lost the war. But they were a powerful army, and they, as we know with Greece, with Greek gods, with Mount Olympus was on top of a large part of rock, the mountain, or the red line. The Spartans they separated themselves from the tribes, and knowing that they couldn't get that status anymore, what's the closest way to get to Marijoa on in the Grand Line, in on human level, on water level. The world government, and if you look at Earth, the third one says government, fourth authority, fifth commander. I believe that the Spartan tribe is somewhere in the Grand Line, and their leader, or at the very least one of their leaders, is one of the people who is in charge or created the world government. Now we can say, where does Shem fit in all this? Now, specifically, I went to look up, as I did with John Butali, I went to look up Shem's name. And what I found was insane. Shem's name means renown, or to be famous, to have fame, for your name to be known. Now, here's what I found out. I'm sure most of you are familiar with the title or the name Noah in the Bible. Noah was the man who created, was sent or got a word from God that said to create an ark, to pack up one of or two of each animal, male and female, to sail away, to let all of the impurities be drowned out, to restart the world again. Now, assuming that this is One Piece, is it so hard to believe that Noah is a pirate? Noah is a man who sailed the sea on his ship, the Ark, possibly sailing, and also for the future, being a man of who in his legacy they sailed the sea to erase the impurities of the world, perhaps potentially a world government. And when you look in the Bible, this was the part that got me. Noah has 3 sons: Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And we know Shem. We've seen Shem. We know Shem on the Fish Eye Pirates. We know Ham, Shem's brother, the current leader of Moriori Island. But we don't know a Japheth. And I'm not saying that the father that was killed, that was beheaded on Moriori, isn't Shem's dad. However, is it so hard to believe that there's a man named Noah, potentially Noah Little Rooster, either alive right now related to Shem, or somewhere in Shem's lineage, he was there. And Shem has a third brother named Japheth that he will meet someday. And once we meet him, he's going to be a big part of the story. Potentially, he's going to be the one that reveals the rest of the story. And my theory is that Noah was someone in Shem's past, potentially an uncle, and Japheth is currently with Noah. And they are going to show up sometime in the post-time skip in the New World. And they hold the secrets to the 5 tribes. And also, one last point. At the end of the Noah story, it is shown, God shows a message that says that there will be he promises that there will be no more floods. He promises that there will be no more floods. And to that promise, he leaves a rainbow. Now, my first thing is that I believe that at some point in the Void Century, the 20 kingdoms decided to flood the earth. They decided to reset the world, thus being the Void Century, erasing all that information. And it's not too unbelievable that it will happen again. However, the promise that there will not be another flood is shown by a rainbow. And a rainbow is one of the main telltale signs of fairies. So my theory, Shem in his ancestral arts and his abilities, Shem holds part of that race. He isn't just human. Shem is an elven man, or half elven, or half fairy. And Shem being a part of the Fish-Eye Pirates is that the Fish-Eye Pirates are the next arc. And they will sail the seas to stop any form of evil and tyranny, thus being the world government. And one last bit of evidence to make sure, if you don't believe this theory is possible, take a look at the center of the Wuxing theory concept. It's a star. Now, take a look at the Anastar map, and they are both stars, and the center represents balance, thus meaning that Anastar once before was the place that one, the father lived and Castelia lived, and they were together before they split, and it's also the place where the Ark of Noah was built. The place, the capital of the best shipwrights in the world. Whew, well, if you enjoyed this video, guys, please like and subscribe. Hit that bell for your next Redlands Jack video. But for now, I need to take a break because I feel like my head's gonna explode. I'll see you guys next time. Stay sailing.